podcast. I have a good friend of mine. He actually lives in my hometown. His name is Aaron DeVries, and the things he's doing is so awesome and so helpful, and it really lines up with the mission I'm on. So I'm so blessed that I connected with him, and we've kind of gotten to know each other, and we're gonna be helping each other along the way. So Aaron, thank you for being here, and tell us, what exactly do you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be on your podcast. Like you said, my name is Aaron DeVries. I'm the inclusive dad. So I have a daughter who's 21 years old. At 3 months old, found out she had epilepsy and subsequently cerebral palsy. So didn't know anything about that world. Don't ever recall growing up, seeing anybody with a disability or wheelchair, any of that stuff. So had to learn all about that, about the special education, about county services. Social security stuff, just all that stuff was new to me. Mm-hmm. The special education piece, going to school, didn't know anything, kind of went along with what the school said. Trusted them that was the only way it could be done, or we had to do it that way, and found out later, about inclusion, about having her in the regular class with her peers. So what I do is I help families navigate the special education process. My heart is with like the inclusion piece of it. So working with families to get their child, in the general education class as much as possible with their peers. That's just kind of where my heart is. I've done 2 TEDx talks now on inclusion. I have inclusion tattooed on my arm, so I'm all in on the inclusion piece. So I just help them through one-on-one coaching. I also have a membership now that I'm doing where there's like a couple monthly calls that families are able to jump on and answer questions, do networking. I'm going to try to get some speakers on there to talk about different topics. So just connecting families together so we can help each other out and navigate the process.
Yeah, that's so awesome. That's why we kind of line up with what we're doing. I want more kids with special abilities, like I like to say,
Yep.
to have the opportunities that everybody else had. To be able to go through school with everybody like I did. I understand there's kids that need special education. That's totally fine. But I also believe that there's a lot of kids in special ed that don't need to be there.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's great what you're doing. It's amazing, and it's needed.
Thank you.
So, what inspired you to support parents of special needs children in navigating special education?
Sure. I kind of talked about a little bit, just my daughter. Going through it, like I said, I didn't know anything about special education. Mm-hmm. I knew about, regular education. I have a son who's 15 months older than my daughter. So my experience raising him in the short time he was alive before she was born was just, I'm using the word like normal or just regular education.
Yep.
Was that experience. So one of the earliest kind of memories I have was, I think we were probably taking him to his kindergarten roundup, whatever they call it now, where you take your child, you go meet the teacher, bring in like your supplies you need to do just to, get them comfortable with the classroom. So we took him to that. It was like 5 minutes, just me, his mom, him, and the teacher, 5 minutes in and out. Well, then after that, we went to my daughter's back to school thing. So I'd been to his, so I'm expecting walk in, one teacher there, 5 minutes in and out. Well, because of her level of needs and how she's qualifies, there was 10 people probably, I think, across the table. So going from, his meeting of this is what I'm expecting at the next one to that, and not having any heads up, not like nobody saying, hey, this is what it's going to be like, just a heads up. So all those times where, I was expecting a certain thing because of what I knew with my son's experience with education, and I want to, help families if you're newly in special education, here's some things to watch out for. I mean, it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be the same as if you have another child there back to school. I mean, just the things that I didn't know that I wish I would have known, just helping them, navigate that stuff. Or there's things that, the school doesn't tell you, or as a parent, you don't want to question the school, but just reassure the parents, hey, it's okay. Like if you have a question, it's okay to ask a teacher. It's okay to bring up concerns you have. So just wanting to like validate the parents, the feelings that they're feeling, help them navigate that process. I mean, when I was going through it, I mean, it's my daughter, so it's really emotional. I mean, you try not to think like long term, like stuff affecting a whole life, but it's hard when it's your child and you can see how maybe a decision made at a younger age could affect them long term. So it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty emotionally charged. So just now that I'm helping other families, I can sit there and, pay attention, listen to what's happening, process it more, and help them, keep on track. If we're there to, to discuss a specific issue, make sure that, it's checked off at the end of the day. Hey, we talked about this, do you have any other questions about it? Does that answer everything?
Mm-hmm.
Just try to help them in the moment. Cause like I said, it's at an IEP meeting. I think were you on an IEP?
Yep,
So, I
I
mean,
was.
so you've been in IEP meetings. Some of the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's talked about isn't always positive. So,
Mm-hmm.
trying to help the parent when they're hearing some stuff that's not positive about their child and, be able to still focus on the stuff we need to focus on. So just really
Yeah.
want to help parents.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's so needed. Like, because like you said, you didn't know what you're doing,
Right.
and no other parent does. So
Yep.
it's great to have somebody like you to support them and help them on that journey, so then they can provide everything that their children need.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So, what are common challenges that parents face in accessing special education as services, and then how do you help them?
Sure. Some of it I kind of already have touched on. I mean, to me, it's a big challenge that parents face is just the lack of knowledge. I mean, unless you've gone through it before, you just don't know. You don't know what questions to ask. You don't know what's available. You're just going on what the school's telling you. And I mean, I'm not trying to bash schools like they're on purpose not telling you stuff. It's just there's so much stuff, and it's they're in their day to day. They know this stuff. Just as a parent, like you don't know what you don't know. So just a lack of knowledge, I think, is a big barrier. Another thing I kind of touched on is just the self doubt. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
is first of all, my son, he was born no medical issues, so you're kind of my experience is that. Well, then you see something else. My daughter, something looks different. You're like, is that am I really seeing that? Should I ask
Mm-hmm.
what's the process? Just should I bring it up? Is it okay to bring it up? I mean, so those things, and I think part of that is, I mean, how we're raised. I mean, I feel like I was kind of raised that certain positions like teachers or doctors, like they are at like a higher level, and we're not supposed to question them, or like they're smarter than
Mm-hmm.
me. I can't, I'm not smart enough to ask the question. So trying to get over some of those mindset things also. Then I think the others,
Yep.
I mean, there's other things that are just like, I mean, the system isn't set up in my mind to be like user friendly, or it's to me, it's pretty complicated. There's lots of paperwork that doesn't seem like it needs to be there. So just there's a lot of system based things that make it, I think, harder for families to access the special education also.
Yep, exactly. I agree. And going back to like the doctors and the professionals, like parents need to know that they have to use their own judgment with their
Yep.
children. Because like for me personally, the doctor said that I would never walk.
Right.
Well, my parents believed that I could, so I was walking at 5 years old.
Right.
So it's like and what if my parents wanted to push me and help me? I might not have ever walked.
Sure.
It's just like incredible. So,
Did you?
we,
Sorry, can I interrupt you?
yeah, go
Did
ahead.
you ever ask your parents or why they, chose that path? Like, challenging what the doctors thought and trying to push you to walk, or do you have any idea why they chose that and not just going along with the doctors?
Yeah, so it was more of my dad than my mom.
Okay.
He had the mindset that I could do anything.
Sure.
And that was the mindset that he instilled in me
Yep.
growing up. So, he didn't take like what the doctor said as
Yep.
like that's the only way.
Sure.
Like he was like, all right, let's figure out if you can walk or not.
Right.
It's better to try and
Yep.
fail than
Right.
to not try at all.
Absolutely. That's
So
awesome.
I hope other parents will do the same thing.
Absolutely. Yep. That's
So
awesome.
yeah. So what strategies do you recommend for effective communication between parents and educators?
Sure. The first thing I wrote down is just the golden rule. So just treat others how you want to be treated. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're a parent, I understand. I've my daughter's been in special education since like early childhood all the way through now. So I understand. And sometimes you're in situations where you're like I said, your emotions are involved. It's your child. You get upset, but still take a breath, walk out of the room. If you're in a meeting, like, hey, can I take a break? Try to go, breathe or calm down and just try to treat them like you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
You just be respectful. The other thing is I always recommend is to get everything in writing. So just if you're at the school talking to one of your, child's team or anybody there that's on their team, just, if you talk to them verbally, I always recommend when you get home, just send a follow-up email saying, hey, it was nice to see you today. I'm glad we talked about, ABC. This is my understanding. Just that way it's documented, because personally and for lots of other parents, just you have those conversations. You talk about something, you feel like it's resolved. It's not written down anywhere. And then, a week later, a month later, the same issue comes up and you're like, we talked about this. And then it's like, yeah, but there's no, we didn't. So it's like, you need to have something in writing, I feel like. And that's just as simple as, sending that email.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't reply, at least you've sent something you can, print it off, show people that this is my recollection of the conversation. So those are a couple, tips or things that I suggest for parents communicating with schools.
Yeah, I think that is really good advice because, I know from what I went through, there was a lot of times like that where we talked about something,
Right.
and then later on, the teachers or somebody else on the team wasn't doing it,
Right.
and then they were like, "We never agreed on that,"
Right.
So yeah, it's very important. So yeah, that's awesome advice.
Thanks.
Can you share success stories where your assistance improved a family's experience?
Sure. The ones that I thought about for this is just lately a lot of clients and other parents I've been talking to is just they'll tell me, this is what's going on. This is how I feel about it. Am I crazy? Am I wrong in thinking this? So just for me, it seems lately, especially just, validating their feelings like, hey, no, I've been in the same spot you've been in. I've had those thoughts about like, should I question it? Should I not question it? Just, validating their feelings, and then, they feel at ease. If somebody, even I know if I'm feeling something and I share it with you, for instance, and you're like, hey, Aaron, that makes complete sense to me. I've had days that are crappy and this is how I got through it. And that, you're not crazy. That makes like it, it puts you at ease, makes you feel like you're, everything's okay. So, that's just part of, what I've been able with, helping out recently. And just the others, the other ones are, it's just a lot of the stories I have for success is it's a lot about like I share something and they didn't know that and they wish they had known it. So just being able to hey, this makes more sense now because you told me, hey, this thing, this is how it's going. So just being able to, like I said, validate feelings and then just share information where, it makes more sense to the parent. They feel like more of a team player. Even just sharing that tip about, getting stuff in writing. Because, I mean, that simple things like that, it doesn't always have to be a huge thing. It's just simple things sometimes make, a big difference too. So those are kind of these stories I have. And with my daughter, once we found out about inclusion, we started through the IEP process, let's get her back into general ed. And I mean, my experience was once she was out of the general ed into like the separate segregated classroom, it was hard to get her back into the general ed. So just was a slow process. Hey, let's add gym class too, the general ed gym class. And then, okay, now that's working. Let's add other stuff. So just as a parent, you want it to be like, hey, let's get it all in there. But also you can't I don't want her just in the classroom. I want her to be in there and have the support she needs.
Yep.
Which is another thing. I mean, because if I think, hey, let's get her in the classroom, my mind is, okay, she's in there, she has all the supports. Okay, is that the same thing the school's thinking? Like, so, I mean, as a parent, I like, hey, does she have a desk she can get to with her wheelchair? Is she going to have a para in there? Is the curriculum going to be something she can understand, have access to? It's not just about being in the room. It's, you need to be able to like be in there and participate. And where she's sitting, is she sitting back in the corner? Is she sitting with her peers so they're talking to her? Just stuff like that.
Yep, exactly. It's so important for, children with, special abilities to be included like everybody else.
Yep.
Especially in the classroom. Like I used to be stuck, in the back corner all the time.
Right.
And my dad stepped in. He's like, no, so like just put him wherever, just like everybody else. So yeah. I mean, but I also have the last name Yerhart, so if they went in alphabetical order, I was always in the back.
Oh, that's true. I guess I didn't think about that part.
Yep. So, how do you stay updated on changes in special education laws and resources to better support families?
Yeah. So currently I'm part of a mentorship. I went through the Master IEP Coach program. So I'm part of that, and part of that we have like monthly or bi-monthly calls. Catherine Witcher, who runs that, shares things with us, shares tips, different ways to do things. That's one way that I stay kind of updated. There's lots of Facebook groups, lots of, groups for families to be in where you can, talk to each other. Another thing is just national, like disability related organizations. So in Minnesota, one parents can talk to his Pacer Center. They offer like workshops for parents on IEPs and different things, keeping updated on that. TASH is another nationwide one where they're big on inclusion. So, I mean, I follow them on all their social medias, newsletters, and then COPA, which is, more advocate, lawyer type special education stuff. They put out a lot of good stuff too. So just keeping connected with other people in those different ways of just seeing what's going on.
Yeah, and a lot of parents don't know about groups like that.
Yep.
So it's important for parents to research and find the support that they need.
Yeah.
They don't have to go through this alone. And like I believe everybody's been through everything, so there's always somebody else that you can lean on for help when you're going through something.
Right.
So what does my slogan, "Your abilities are infinite," mean to you?
Sure. To me, I guess when I thought about it is like, I feel like everyone is capable of doing great things. So everybody, no matter what your abilities are, no matter where you came from, you can do great things. And like you said, I love your story about your dad, just not, going along with what people was telling him. Just, that makes a lot of difference. Cause if you're your parents not doing that, I mean, you can see where the outcome is. So just, everybody is capable of doing great things. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and as a parent, you want your child to be successful, and you kind of have this view of how you think their life should go, but that switches, and I want my kids to, do the best they can do at whatever they want to do. I mean, if they want to go to college, cool. If you don't want to go to college, it doesn't matter. Just do what you want to do, what you love, that kind of thing. And the other thing is just, like I kind of said, don't let other people's expectations limit you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to do something, like you said, go for it. I mean, if you want to do if you fail, well, then you learn, like, I can't do that, or I need to adjust, and I can't do it this way. But if I, do it this way, maybe find a coach or mentor that can come alongside me, or find some equipment or something, you can do it that way. So just try it. If you want to do stuff, try it. Don't let other people talk you out of it.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And, that's how I live my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always having people tell me I can't do things. And now it's like a game to me now. It's like, okay, tell me I can't.
Right.
So then I can show you I can. That's how I live, So now I love it when somebody says you can't do it. Because then it's like, all right, watch this,
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if that's how you view it. Then, like, okay, really, okay.
Yep,
Let's do
that's
this.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, how can people find you and reach out to you if they need your help?
Sure. The easiest way to reach out to me is just go to theinclusivedad.com, and just all my social stuff's on there. Phone number, ways to contact me is on there. So that's probably the easiest place to go to find me.
Okay, yeah, and everybody will be able to find your link in the show notes.
Sure.
So just look at those, and you can find them. All right, Aaron, this was great. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.